You know, in some ways, this tank right here is better than the Aromomizer RTA, but in one way, it's not so much better. We'll get into that, but the tank we're going to be talking about today is this Bellus RTA by a company called Youde out of China. And just like the Aromomizer RTA, this Bellus right here also has the airflow running straight to the wick and coil, and that's a huge feature. Huge feature. I mean, all these other tanks should have this type of design or something similar because this is the way it's going. It's the way it's going, boys and girls. So the build I have in this Bellus is a dual 26 gauge Canthal build. She's reading at, what's she reading at? 0.5 ohms. I'm vaping her at 32.5 watts, and I got her sitting on this Lava Box DNA 200. If you missed my review, go check it out. But in the description, I'll have a link on where I got this sucker. But yeah, the airflow I have on this Bellus is about halfway open on each side. So getting right down to the nitty gritty, this Bellus RTA is just as good as the Aromomizer all across the board as far as performance. Okay, the vapor production just as good, flavor is just as good, just as saturated, never get dry hits, it feeds right there. And as far as the airflow, it's all going to be subjective, but for me, I prefer the airflow off this Bellus. I think it's smoother. You'll see in the close-ups why, but I mean, it is kick-ass. Sick-ass titties. I mean, udders. Hey, guess what? I got an idea. Let's go ahead and dive up close so I can show you this thing up close and personal. Talk about all the specs, and we'll come back, talk about those pros and cons, and I'll let you know if I lost this thing today or I'll go out tomorrow and buy one. Okie spankin' dokey, so here's the Bellus Tank RTA along with the Bellus Tank packaging. An up close look at this packaging. Pop the lid, and then inside we got our spot for our Bellus tank. Up here it says UD, Unification of Design. Those are the guys that make this sucker. And then down here we got some extra goodies. And some of those goodies include an extra Pyrex tank and a flattened bag of organic cotton. I don't know about that. Guess you could fluff it out. And other goodies include a red gasket for your top cap, some extra O-rings, a block to block off one side of the deck, an extra insulator, some extra smaller O-rings, and down here you receive 2 pre-built coils and 2 extra Phillips head screws. Alrighty, so here's an up-close look at this Bellus RTA. A few specs for you. She's 22 millimeters in width and 57.5 millimeters in height with the stock drip tip. She's primarily made of 304 grade stainless steel with a glass tank. At the base, she's got an adjustable 510 pin that is gold plated. And there's a close-up view of those threads. And at the base it says designed and manufactured by Youde Tech UD. And a convenient feature to this device is it has top filling. And threads are about average. I mean, even though they are fine, they aren't sharp. You're not going to cut your fingers on them. Stainless steel drip tip, double O-ring down at the base. Bore all the way through is about 6.5 millimeters in diameter. Again, an up close look at this top cap. You got that red gasket down there to keep everything sealed in. Perfect fit. So right here is your adjustable airflow ring where it says Bellus. On one side it has 16 holes punched, and then on the other it has 16 holes punched. The total 32 holes. To go ahead and adjust her, all you do is you just turn her and she adjusts. It's got this bottom cap right here, and this unscrews. Again, the threads are fine, but they're not sharp. But you got one notch right here. You got one notch right here, and here is the deck. All you gotta do is just pull it out. We'll get into that in a second. And then here's your ring, and it slides off. So you got 2 slots, one slot on one side, one slot on the other. And I really like how it's machined inward. And you know what? It makes it to where the airflow is just so damn smooth, no whistle. Oh yeah. And again, I gotta mention this, these threads are not sharp one bit, the edges are not sharp. I mean, with the old UD products, they were awful. This is a good upgrade. Good for you, UD! But yeah, here's the inside of the chamber, airflow holes going straight to the wick and coil. And here's the bottom cap. Again, the threads are not sharp, not gonna cut you. Alright, so here is the deck section. It's got a 2-post design, as you guys can see. It's got a positive post here and the negative post, which is milled into the deck. Uses Phillips head screws to tighten down and make connection with all your leads. So yeah, you got 4 notches. You got 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and the juice feeds down through those notches to your wick and to your coil, and your wick sits up here. Oh yeah, and there's your positive post insulator, which is made of PEEK. And down here it is single O-ringed. You got the notch, 1 notch on one side, one notch on the other, and that's to line it up to install it back into the tank. Okie freaking dokie, so these two pieces right here make up the block to run this thing in single coil mode. This piece is flexible. It feels rubbery. I don't know exactly what it is. They do not market it. This piece right here, I believe it's made of ceramic. Again, I'm not 100% sure. You got a hole here, and then what you do is you line these up, and there's our block. And then on this side, when you're done installing your build and tightening them down and cutting your leads, then what you do is you have this notch right here, and the notch down here on this rubbery piece fits into that hole on the deck. Oh yeah. And here's a top view with the block on there. Now look at this, okay? You got to make sure that the leads, it does not touch that rubbery piece or whatever this material is, because it will burn it. It will, for sure. Okay, that's probably the only biggest thing. So yeah, when you do slide your single coil in there and you go to break your leads off, I would just twist them off and not cut them off so there's nothing sticking out. Fits perfect, baby. And look at that right there. It completely blocks off the opening on that side. Ooh, and we're clear on this side. It unscrews from the tank and the shaft. So the juice feeds down in those slots. Down into the slots where the deck section is, and that's how it works, boys and girls. And then you guys saw the chamber section with the airflow running straight through. Oh yeah. And of course, you guys already saw the glass tank section. So here's the shaft section and the top cap section. And you also have the spiral grooves all the way up through the shaft, just like the drip tip. So this is one of the ways I've been wicking her one, okay? Either this way or the pancake wicking method. Now, if you missed the pancake wicking tutorial, check it out. I got a link in the description. But look at this. The wicking tails are just long enough to where they're blocking the canals off. And it's the exact same thing on the other side. I never get dry hits. I never get flooding. So you got to make sure you line up the slots on the deck with the slots on the tank. Bottom cap screws on the tank. Time to fill her. So are you a fan of Sprite? Because if you are, lemony lime for my plume line, it tastes, I mean, right down Sprite's alley. To me it does anyways. And that's what I'm going to be using today. So I popped it in this 10 ml bottle I had lying around. It's got this little skinny tip because it's just easier to use. Easy peasy. What a sleazy. And the next step, what you want to do is close the airflow off. I mean, this is a crucial step because if you don't close her off, she will leak. So you got two holes up top. And I mean, you can pick one, that's what she said. But you got this little dropper. And this is why I love this little dropper, because she just fits oh so nice. And then all you do from there is just squeeze. Top cap goes on. Next step, we're going to go ahead and open up the airflow. And I will say this, look at that, there's a little bit of juice on there. Every time I fill her up, at first it leaks just a tiny bit. But when I start to vapor, it goes away. It doesn't leak at all. I have not had any issues. So that right there, boys and girls, is an up close look at this Bellus RTA. Let's go ahead and take her back to FaceTime. First, the pros. One, build quality for this tank is way better than the old Youde products. And what I mean by way better, I mean the threads on this are much smoother than the older Youde products, older Youde tanks, and also the edges along the rings are much smoother as well. On the older Youde tanks, the edges along the rings, they would cut my finger all up, man. But bad. And also with mine, there was minimal machine oil. I mean, one rinse, one wash, and I was good to go. Two, the design where you have the juice running around the chamber, where you have the airflow running to the wicking coil, is fantastic. Hell, I never have wicking issues. Saturated hits every damn flipping time. And like I mentioned before, as far as flavor and vapor production, this is about the same as the Atomizer RTA. Another thing I want to throw out at you is if you're the type of vapor you prefer vertical builds, okay, the Atomizer RTA, that's for you. But if you prefer horizontal builds, this is for you. Three, when it comes to airflow for this device, it is nice and smooth and it's adjustable, okay? You've got a ring, you've got an actual metal ring. It's not that silicone ring like the Atomizer RTA. This thing is badass, man. Airflow is better, in my opinion, for this than it is for the Atomizer RTA. You saw it, the 32 holes punch in the ring. It's just awesome. It kicks ass. The top filling system makes it convenient, baby. It's convenient to fill, easy every time, and no leaking. All you gotta do is just close her off at the bottom and you're good to go. She holds a good amount of juice, 5 mils. The gold-plated 510 pin at the base is adjustable. She looks great on all my 22mm mechanical mods because she is 22mm, and also she's compatible with every mod that I own. Screws down, fits flush, and makes a connection. Also, another pro I almost forgot to mention, but they include a block with this tank, and you can block off one side of the deck and run it in single coil. I mean, that is a biggie, especially for you single coolers out there. And last but not least, price point, okay? For this thing, $29.99. That's it, man. For what you get, the design, it's a steal in my opinion. First con, the top filling system, okay? This may be a little bit nitpicky, but it's got to be mentioned, okay? It kind of caves in at the top, and you got to be careful, because if you're not careful, when you go to fill her up, if you're using a dropper, it may leak out. It'll leak into the center shaft, and you're going to get spit back city. And two, and this is the biggest con by far, okay? The deck and chamber size is just too small to use your thicker gauge wire. I mean, if you're going to use your thicker gauge Kanthal, you got to wrap it around a smaller drill bit. And to be honest, if I'm going to use thicker gauge Kanthal, you know, 22 gauge, 24 gauge, I'm going to do macro coils, and you can't do it with this one. You're just going to be brushing against the inside of the chamber, no good. And another con, and this goes for the two-post design. I like the two-post design, but with the Atomizer RTA, you can unscrew the deck from the base. That is huge, man. Huge possibilities. And also, it's got that Velocity style deck. It's got the Velocity style post with a side mounts. You know, you've seen it. With this one, you don't have that. You got to share the leads with each post hole, and that is just stupid. Stupid. To me, it's a pain. After using the Velocity style deck and the Velocity style post, it's just a pain in the ass. So the online shop that sent this bad boy out to me to review for you guys is selling it for $29.99, like I mentioned. And woo, now to the big question, the big answer today. Hey, Rip, if you'd have lost this today, would you go out tomorrow and buy one? And the answer is, yeah. I mean, just like I mentioned, 1, the price point, 2, the build quality you get for the price point, 3, the vape performance, and then 4, the fact that they include the block where you can block off the deck and then run it in single coil. That's a biggie. Hell yeah. This is Rip Trippers, and remember, smoking is dead, vaping is the future, and the future is now.